Things get quieter in Florida.
The Romanian divorcee was found beaten to death by her daughter. Neighbors say Ablu rented out apartments and often kept cash in the house.
She had rooms for rent upstairs for a week, for a month. Some really characters. Once I remember I was shocked. I was passing by and in the doorway 2 young men were standing. One was naked. I almost fainted.
Neighbors shake their heads in stunned disbelief over the brutal slaying in their midst. Police are collecting clues which they hope will lead them to the killer. Charges could be coming against the operator of a Norristown daycare center where a child died this week. A 13-month-old toddler was found dead by his mother when she went to pick him up at this Chestnut Street daycare center run by Barbara Adams. The little boy had choked to death on his own vomit while sleeping. Doctors believe he had been dead for more than an hour. Published reports say Adams had been told to stop operating the daycare center earlier this month because she didn't have a license. A New Jersey man who's accused of killing his own baby daughter was allowed to view her body before burial today. A judge allowed 24-year-old Matthew Russell of Medford to visit the funeral home, escorted by sheriff's deputies. Russell's 4-month-old daughter Alexandria died from severe head injuries. He was arrested Thursday night and was returned to jail after seeing her for the last time today. A plumber is recovering in the hospital tonight after a scary accident on the job. He was working in a hole that collapsed on him. It happened at 1870 Wakeling Street in Philadelphia while 50-year-old George Lindsay was doing some work under the porch here in Frankfurt. The foundation of the house and the walls of the hole he was working in gave way. The heavy rescue unit had to work for more than 2 hours to free him, but Lindsay said he never had any doubt.
How you feeling? You okay? I feel good. You all right? A little worried? Were you a little worried?
No.
Tonight, Lindsay's at Allegheny Hahnemann in stable condition. Pilots with New Jersey's 177th Fighter Wing flew to the rescue of a lost pilot over the Atlantic last night. 2 jets went to the rescue when a small Piper Aztec missed its planned destination and started heading out to sea. Air traffic controllers couldn't raise the pilot over the radio. The fighters caught up to the lost plane about 150 miles over the ocean. They safely guided it back to Atlantic City. The pilot of the small plane told the rescuers he had electrical problems that knocked out his radio and navigational instruments. A Newcastle woman is hospitalized right now following a hair-raising car accident this late today on Interstate 495 in Minquadale. That Ford Escort there careened out of control and flipped over several times. A passenger, 42-year-old Mary Schulman, was trapped inside. She is in good condition right now at Christiana Hospital. A man who was driving fled the scene on foot. A close call tonight for 3 people inside this house in Delaware County. Fire chased them out about 7 p.m. This is 81 North Ridgeway in Glen Olden. The occupants all escaped, but one of them had to be taken to the hospital for a hand burn. The fire marshal is trying to pin down the cause of the blaze. We may not think of paintbrushes and rakes and garbage bags as weapons, but Michelle McCormack found them being used as tools to fight the scourge of drugs. And an impressive array of citizens formed the Army today in Philadelphia's Mantua section.
Dope dealers weren't pushing drugs near the corner of 39th and Fairmount. Instead, volunteers were pushing rakes and cleaning up an area notorious for drug deals and debris.
Because it's really filthy and dirty around. The rundown houses, the yards, is a lot of trash and everything is thrown in it. And you have children playing around, and it's not good for the children to be playing around there.
Union workers are providing free labor along with members of the West Philadelphia Anti-Crime Partnership. Police provide certain properties to target, and lawyers with the District Attorney's Office and State Attorney General's Office work side by side with juvenile offenders sentenced to community service.
I feel real bad. I wish I would have never did what I did. Because if I would have never did what I did, I'd still be at home right now, asleep.
Of course, the volunteers don't assume that one day's worth of cleanup will bring change overnight. They'll be here and around West Philadelphia for the next 6 months at least.
We're going to stay out here as long as the drugs is out here. And when the drugs leave, then we'll leave. But we want to send a message that we are for real.
This is the action behind the talk of community policing, the kind of crime fighting that doesn't require a badge or a gun, just a lot of elbow grease. Michelle McCormack, Channel 6 Action News, Mantua.
And some neighbors of a notorious trash-covered lot in North Philadelphia are also working to clean it up. It's been a monumental job at 17th and Indiana. This lot's a block long, and it gained a place in the news in June of '96 when the body of Amy Willard was found here, 14 hours after she disappeared while coming home from a main line night spot. Neighbors here, like Stephanie Evans, were out today trying to clean the place up. She says the city has helped, but people still drive by with carloads of tires and other trash, wanting to dump it all here. Coming up next on Action News, the lone survivor of the accident that killed Princess Diana says he's remembering more about the wreck. Later, an Action News special report, simple ways to a new face and how to use the makeup you already have for a new look. Also tonight, an unfamiliar sight for Flyers fans. They're back on the ice again. Phil Andrews has sports and the AccuWeather forecast for the beginning of March when Action News continues.
I'm Mark Howard. Sunday on Inside Story, new man at the top of the NAACP, Julian Bond, who says he wants to expand the organization and bring in all people of all colors. An interesting new wrinkle. We'll talk about it on Inside Story, along with a big basketball flap. The freebie, they gave her 2 points. She set a record, and now everybody says, oh, they only did it because it was a woman. Oh, what an argument. We'll have it right here, Sunday, Inside Story.
Rebuilding a civilization from a smoking ruin.
He brought his family to the Mosquito Coast, planning to build them a paradise.
Tell him he is a dangerous man, and one of these days he's going to get you all killed.
But something happened that wasn't part of the plan.
Oh my God! You've always been against me.
Harrison Ford in his most remarkable performance, The Mosquito Coast.
Mosquito Coast, 11:35 Sunday.
It is perhaps our most impressive safety advance ever. A Volvo that can save your soul. Introducing the all-wheel drive cross-country from Volvo.
Hi, Puddin'.
Oh, you're so I don't have shoes.
Oh, if you are gorgeous. Noreen. Talk to me.
If you don't stop someone from driving drunk, who will?
Come on, talk to me.
Do whatever it takes.
Come on, you can do it.
The lone survivor of the accident that killed Princess Diana now says he remembers more about the wreck. Bodyguard Trevor Reese Jones says he will meet again with the judge leading the investigation into the crash. He released a statement that says sessions with a psychiatrist have helped him recall more details, but the statement won't say exactly what he remembers. In other developments, Princess Diana's will is going to be made public next week. Anybody can buy a copy of it from London's Center for Public Records. President Clinton and the rest of the First Family are in Utah tonight. They're at a ski resort in Park City. It is a celebration of Chelsea's 18th birthday. The president did slip away for a few hours for a quick trip to California. He attended a fundraiser and took a look at flood damage from this week's storms. Back in Washington comes word the president's friend Vernon Jordan will have to appear in front of the grand jury looking into the intern controversy. Jordan admits he helped find Monica Lewinsky a job and a lawyer. His testimony is expected on Tuesday. A Mexico City woman has given birth to sextuplets, and that is fewer than she and the doctors thought. We first showed you Cristina Hernandez a few weekends ago, and at the time, doctors thought she was carrying 9 babies. They later downgraded their estimate to 7. They performed a C-section today and found 6. Now they say the 7th was just a shadow on the ultrasound. They believe mother and all 6 babies will be just fine. Next on Action News tonight, a rather stunning report on some of the medicines we take and why they're making many of us sick. And the Flyers get back on the ice and on track. Phil Andrews with sports when Action News continues. I'm Scott Palmer along with Anita Brickman.
Thanks for joining us here at the Weather Channel. I'm Christina Abernathy, and it's time now for El Niño Focus. Ocean and atmosphere working together make El Niño a force for climate change. Jim Cantori explains in El Niño Focus.
In normal non-El Niño years, the surface of the Pacific Ocean along the coast of South America is cool, about 8 degrees cooler than the surface in the western Pacific. That's because of the trade winds. The prevailing trade winds in this part of the world are from east to west, and those winds push the ocean's surface along with them. That piles warm water up in the western Pacific. Sea level is about 1.5 feet higher near Indonesia than at Ecuador. And because the surface water is moved west, the cold water from deeper levels rises toward the surface off South America, sometimes to within 50 meters. That's called upwelling, and it's responsible for the cold surface temperatures. But in an El Niño, the trade winds diminish, and in some cases actually reverse. Without the trade winds, upwelling diminishes. The cold water from the depths remain far below the surface, and the surface warms. So it is this relationship between the wind and the ocean that causes the changes we know as El Niño. I'm Jim Cantori, the Weather Channel.
Well, time now to see what's in store in our forecast, and we're going to be dealing with some wet weather in a few areas. We have got wet weather in Florida and the chance for some storms, some of which could be severe as well. To the north, rain and maybe even some icy conditions in northern Maine. Snow and windy conditions here, maybe some blowing and drifting snow. And then into the northwest, rain, but the higher elevations dealing with snow. But again, here in Florida, not only the chance for wet weather, some of that could be in the form of severe storms in the southern part of the state especially. Not much of a factor anywhere else in the country, but again in Florida, remain alert. Here's the area where you'll be dealing with the wind, with 30-mile-per-hour winds not out of the question, or even over 30 miles per hour through parts of the Dakotas and Nebraska and into eastern Wyoming. Fog reducing your visibility, maybe in California, and also here mid-Atlantic states back to the Great Lakes region. Got around Detroit, around Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York City. Maybe you'll want to get up a little extra early in the morning to get where you're going because visibility's may be reduced and you'll need that extra time. Take it a little extra slow out there. Temperatures pretty cool in the western U.S. overnight, milder in the east, and here's what we're going to be dealing with on Sunday morning. Still some rain and snow in the northwest, snow here, rain here, and maybe even some icy conditions. That's what the orange indicates. And then back to the south, rain and perhaps some thunderstorms in Florida as this front is draped across the state. And we'll see that continuing on into your midday. But to the north, again, the snow continuing to fall here, and we'll see that around on into the evening hours as well. Heaviest amounts of precipitation, the higher elevations here in the west, where 1/2 foot of snow or more possible in some of the higher elevations. The Cascades, 1/2 inch of rain or more through New York State. Also in Florida, mild temperatures where your highs on Sunday in the 80s for southern Florida. To the north, teens and 20s, so quite a contrast going on here across the country. Maybe not quite as cool for your Monday here. Warmest temperatures along the west coast, 50s, 60s, maybe even a few 80s here in the desert southwest, 60s and 70s in southern Texas as well as into Florida. Things will be cooling down a bit along the east coast for Tuesday, so get ready for that. And as far as Wednesday, no real big surprises. Warming up a bit in Texas, but you'll see that cooling back down for Thursday. We've got some showery conditions in the northeast, snow showers back through the Great Lakes region in the Midwest. In the northwest, scattered showers for you with snow for the mountains. We'll see that sort of dropping to the south as we head on into your Tuesday. And then we'll have to keep an eye on this as we head through midweek. We're going to have to keep an eye on the exact track of this system to determine exactly who's going to be getting the snow, who's getting the storms and the rain. But you can expect some showers here, Portland and Seattle, back into northern California, some flurries through the Appalachians with snow through the Great Lakes region and northern New England, and then into the southeast again. Depending on the exact track of this system, that will determine who gets the snow, who gets the rain. In the western U.S., a few showers here, as well as the chance for some snow. Stay tuned for your extended travel forecast.